Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to talk about our daily technical analysis of commodities. I'm going to give you my financial opinions and we'll go through the same stuff every day: dollar, 10-30-year yield, precious metals, and commodities. I'm going to jump right in here, start giving my opinion, slinging my my thoughts around. What we got up first is the DXY relative strength indicator of the dollar is what I call it. Large sell-off here, smaller bounce. I do think eventually, whether this turns now or turns a little bit higher or does a full retest, will all end up going lower. So the dollar DXY lower in the short term to medium term. We could still have a little bit last surge higher before heading lower. We saw this last commodity bull market back in the 2001-2002 timeframe where it peaked and went lower. I have a feeling that that's exactly what we're doing, peaking and going lower. And that is usually a tailwind for commodities and anything that's priced in dollars. It's also a function of market conditions. If you've got an increasing interest rate environment that is tighter than other currencies, then what happens is your dollar or that currency, whichever one's the tightest in terms of monetary restrictions, goes up. Right now, since other currencies were in such dire situations with energy, and I think that we are going to kind of normalize, they're going to normalize, and we're going to kind of get a little bit more inflation than them, perhaps. We're going to see a lower DXY. The 10-year yield heading lower today, down 1.8%. This looks like it wants to go lower for yields. There's not much of a bounce here. We got a nice, good, strong down day today, down 1.8%. This will help the housing market as the 10-year yield and mortgage rates are very closely linked together. We've broken the uptrend line. This, to me, looks like it wants to go lower, which is good for the stock market. It's good for the housing market, and it's kind of indifferent with commodities. They can do well whether they go down or up depending on the supply demand imbalances. Bond prices continue to head higher. I do think that's the path of least resistance. We've broken the downtrend line, and this could be another play if you guys are interested in TLT for more of a stable hedge against declining inflation. And I do think that we have disinflation, which means lower. We could be going into a disinflationary period where the rates of inflation aren't as high as they used to be. But that doesn't mean that we're going back to 2%. We could go back to 4, 5, 6% for a while. And that's kind of, I think, what my thinking is we're going to be at an elevated level with lower inflation rates, but they're still going to be at an elevated level. TYX, the 30-year yield is also diving back down with a dollar down, the 10 and 30-year yield lower. This usually does very well for precious metals. That's the conditions where it allows precious metals to do well. So that's good. And then the TYX to TNX were basically, the curve is still inverted, which means that the 30-year fell faster than the 10-year. And we're still inverted. We're still doing all right. Usually when this curve normalizes is when gold takes off. But we can see some good numbers here when looking at all the different commodities. So commodities are heading on higher today. The CRB index, we're right at support. I do think this will head higher. Again, we're playing with statistical probabilities. We've broken out of this pattern to the upside. I think it looks good to go higher. Looking at the CRB to S&P 500, we also outperformed the S&P 500 a little bit. So CRB was up, but again, we're in this channel moving sideways. And whenever you're going sideways or slightly lower, you're in a consolidation period. I still think that there's a little bit to go in this consolidation period for this ratio. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to come up, pull back of some sort and go. We could be a little one that does that, or we could do a full retest. I don't know which path that's going to take. We've got the three humps, so to speak, but it could do any one of those. On the third hump, it doesn't have to come and retest all the way back. Gold up slightly. We are against a support level. I think that support level will hold and we'll work our way higher eventually. Silver getting a little bit of buying pressure. We're right underneath that resistance line. We kind of came right below it. I still think it looks good. Long, big picture view, I think the pattern that we are at is this pattern here, is this pattern here. And it's the same fractal. So if you look at this kind of fractal here and then the dump out, it's the same type of fractal. And then hopefully we can get a move higher. I should say, I read, it's this move here. Sorry, guys. It's that move there. I drew it in the wrong spot. But it looks good to go higher. A big silver bull here. There's a lot of good companies in silver right now. And we've bought the bottom of it on the finding-value.com and the platinum membership with a couple of our entries. So I'm confident that we got the bottom there. It seems pretty good. Platinum also is looking good. We do have a little wick at the top. It's not the best. It's not the strongest move, but you know, I'll just make this statement. It's not how you start. It's how you finish. And you want to finish strong. Like these days are strong days in here. And you could see the momentum just carry us all the way to the top. This is a reversal day where you get the wick at the top. We have a little wick at the top. We might bounce around a little bit today. We got that wick. Maybe we bounce around. It doesn't mean that we have to. It's just, you know, generally when I look at these things, you get little wicks at the top that kind of can turn around. So maybe this pullback will be like that. And then we blast on higher. Something on the lines of that. XAU to gold ratio, this is very positive. Very positive. This should be, you know, it's the gold and silver mining companies, which is XAU, are beating gold. People are positioning here. And it's a quite dramatic outperformance. So I like the way that this thing looks. I've already bought, you know, we bought way down in this corner here on some of the companies based off of the chart pattern. This here is one of the reasons why I'm trying to get the bottom of the bottom. Now, I'm hedging myself with time. I guess I'm a little bit more, I go at it. I try to get the best price possible, and I wait. I do think this will eventually break out, and then we'll work our way higher. So I think gold and silver mining companies, there's a couple companies that look pretty good. And I'll state that tomorrow at I call that the midweek update, even though it might be closed, but that's the midweek update, and I'll go over those companies that I think that look good in the gold and silver. Now, I'm not swinging for the fence. I'm trying to get doubles and triples. I want to make sure they move. I want to make sure they give me a return. And usually they are producers, small to mid cap producers. GDX looking very strong today, up 4%. I think this looks fantastic, guys. Like I said before, we had the larger buying pressure, the smaller selling pressure that usually works its way higher. We're seeing that move now. And we saw this move before it happened. Pretty crazy, right? And again, we're working with statistical probabilities. I'm trying to put the probabilities in our favor. Doesn't work every time that way. No one's going to be 100%. But what you do is you get the probabilities in your favor. You get a downtrend break. You get the sideways motion. And then next is the up motion. It's that process, that strategy and process that I'm trying to transfer to you guys and transfer anybody who's on the website. That's what the key is here, to replicate it for yourself. It's not just me. SILJ also looking good. Again, you get the trend line in here, you break out, you do a retest, and then usually you break out, especially if you've got the small selling pressure accompanied by it. That is what we look for. Falling wedge, broken at the falling wedge, sideways pattern, and then the eventual move higher. Crude oil up today, 1.37%. We had the basically drop your load in your pants day yesterday when it was down 5% off fake news. Way to go, fake news, I guess. We'll see where this goes. Again, I think this is going to work its way higher eventually. What I look for is the broken down trend line, check one. Usually sometimes you get a full retest, which we did, and it didn't close below it, so that's good. And next is a move higher. So sideways and then move higher. Now, I'm not stating that it's going to happen immediately. I obviously thought that we were going to break through here. It did not happen. We pulled on back again, and we did that retest. So I still think it looks good. There's a lot of really good companies in oil and natural gas that look pretty strong right now. Natural gas also putting down the pedal here. Up 1.74%. We were up yesterday. We've broken out of this little pattern here. If we can close up and get above this guy here, I think we've got a new little uptrend going here, guys. Usually what happens is you break the downtrend, which we did, and you can even draw a steeper one here. But I think this is looking pretty constructive for a move higher here. Again, it might not be straight higher. Just it's going to grind its way up. All right. So I think that looks good. XOP, yeah, you're crushing me today. 4% up. I like it. I'm getting excited. I like my oil and gas stocks, guys. I know I'm a little bit biased. And we've got a pretty big day today, 4%. And we're coming up against that resistance line. That's ahead of us, $172. We're a little ways away, and we might do some more bouncing around here, but it's looking good. We've got a nice good bounce off that support to the upside. We're still above the support. It's looking a lot better than it did yesterday. And 170, we want to close above 175. That's our goal. OIH, this is the Energy Service Companies ETF. So OIH is also looking good, up 3.12%. You kind of back out, go on log. We have the downtrend line. We've broken that. We're starting to gap it. Get a little bit of gap between us and that line. So this is also looking ultra strong. We did not do a full retest. It may not do a full retest. We may just come back to this support area and bounce and go higher from here. And that very well could be the case. We could have a very strong move here. Fingers crossed. That's what I'm hoping for. I am pretty well loaded in the energy service companies. So hopefully that's what transpires. Uranium futures pricing, UX1. This thing looks retarded, guys. I don't know what's going on here with all this. It's sideways. We're going to go straight to Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, it's riding on the support. We got a little bit of a bounce today. Still has work in front of it, in my opinion. Why? We have a very large move here to the downside. That was not just, happenstance, and we're not getting a good bounce. I'm waiting for buyers to show up. Otherwise, we could do another jet lower if it wants to. So I don't like seeing this large selling pressure day that we had here. I like seeing these big up candlesticks. This is very positive development as we were coming up, and I don't like that selling pressure. It doesn't mean we can't go higher. I just don't like it, and we haven't seen a good bounce yet. Now, URNM, that's looking a lot better than the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. Nice, good, solid update. We finished strong. Let's see if we can get some beef behind it. Get some good, strong moves. Looking at TAN. TAN's moving sideways. It still looks good. Everything's good to go. I think this is going to go. I think this could rip it, guys. I think TAN could rip it. It looks very good here. I like the way that we've got the wicks at the bottom. This is a good support level. We've got big buying pressure, smaller selling pressure, another big buying pressure day. It's finishing quite strong on the monthly. I think it looks pretty solid. COPX, also finishing solid today, up 3%. We're getting that bounce off that support level to the upside. We could rip it here, guys. This could be a ripper. We broke through support. We did the retest. Now it's up to the buyers to rip it higher. With that lower yield and the lower dollar, this is going to be a good one to possibly move quite a bit to the upside. Looking at lithium, lithium's just chopping sideways. We're down a little bit. Again, this thing's just it's an ugly looking chart. We came down in this, and this is a consolidation period. So I don't know if this means we're going to go lower here because we entered it from the down, coming down. And right now, I'm not as bullish on lithium as a lot of the other sectors. and this could potentially still head a little bit lower. I know the supply-demand dynamics are great. I understand it. Let's wait for the buyers to step in here and show me that there's something behind it, and I'll change my mind in an instant. REMX still chopping sideways, doing this. I think this is a double bottom. This here is the lead-in. We got two bottom distinct kind of moves, and we're starting to move higher. This, I think, it kind of mimics gold to some degree. If we take a longer-term view of this thing, we're right against the support level. We are in a great spot, I think, to be looking. And yeah, we have the W bottom. We're right up on support. I like it. The S&P 500, it's up 1.36%. Lower dollar, lower yields, higher. It's maintaining that tailwind behind this. I think we could break out of here and move higher in the S&P 500. It looks really good. We've got a good strong move off this big bullish engulfings down here. That was the start of the move. And now we're getting some, if we can get some good follow through and break through this, I think we could move higher if the buyers want to push it and those market conditions remain. NASDAQ's in the same thing. It's not as strong, but I do think we can move higher. Everything looks good from this point forward, looks really good for a move to the upside still. The sellers haven't come in here and whomped us, but doesn't mean they can't. They could come in here, kick us to the downside, and I'll change my opinion faster than anybody. So right now, it still looks good. Weaker dollar, stronger EEM, up 0.24%. I think this looks good. Broken downtrend, and we're above, sitting at using as support. Looks good. XHB also looks good. This is the home builders. I know, sounds weird. Lower yields, stronger home builders. And when we look at this, I think we're going higher. Everything looks good to go higher. I even left the W pattern in there, and I've got my higher. That's from yesterday. We'll take the W pattern out, and that's where I think it's going to go. We could get a little sticky up here, right where we're at a little bit. We can get a little sticky before launching up, but it looks good. Moo also looks good. It looks like we're ready to roll here. What we did is we came down. We did an ABC correction, kind of that loop. We're coming up above. We got a nice big bullish engulfing on the weekly candlesticks. I think this is ready to go. If the buyers want to push this, I think it's ready to go. It looks good. Copper. This is the copper futures prices, HG1. And copper futures right on support. We're holding steady. We'll see where it goes. Lumber down a little bit. We're still just moving sideways. Not much to really say there. We're still at an elevated level. I mean, if you look at the long term, we're at a very elevated level still. Getting a little bit of selling pressure on iron ore. Kind of a tough chart to read here, but we've got a descending wedge that we're squeezing up, and we're right here is where we're at. Aluminum's also right on support, and we were down a little bit today, and we're just above support. Baltic Dry Index, that is also in a falling wedge. There's your wedge, and we're going to zoom in into the corner here and hopefully launch to the upside. That's what my guess is for the Baltic Dry Index. I think we've got one big launch out of this thing left for a lot of these commodities in the current, we'll call it the current market conditions. And coal still coming on higher here. We could see this thing rip. It's winter time. Thermal coal, I think, will do all right this winter. And again, we'll see what happens with the weather. And then we've got Ethereum and Bitcoin. It looks to me like they're trying to put in bottoms here, and they both look pretty good. And I'm not even a crypto guy. I'm just a chart reader, guys. And it needs to hold here. If we lose this and this drops down on big volume, like you get one of these big down candlesticks, run for the hills. If we hold here and start to move higher, then we've put the bottom in. We're right at that decision point right here. So that's what I've got for today, guys. So looking at everything, I still think that precious metals look very strong. I think that crude oil looks good. I think natural gas looks good. Uranium's at a critical decision point. We need to see some buyers step in here and push it higher. But, looking at everything else and the overall commodity sector, a lot of commodities look pretty good. They're squeezing up in big patterns. Some of the oil companies have broken to the upside. We've seen some breakouts, even in gold and silver. So I don't see why uranium wouldn't follow suit. So I'm bullish on all the sectors. I maintain positions in everything. I haven't really sold much of anything. So, but that's what I've got. And if you guys need help with anything, sign up for the finding-value.com Platinum membership. Subscribe to the channel here. Give me a thumbs up if you like the content. And that's all I've got, guys. So we'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.